Hi Josh, this is Angel and this is the second part of my extra credit. I chose to interview two people for an hour each to kind of get a little bit of more diversity, and I thought it would be interesting. This is Sam Opie. He is in one of my Russian classes, and most of my Russian classes have like really diverse students in them, I kind of asked around and Sam was nice enough to volunteer and let me interview him about his background and why he came into ASU. We came to Starbucks and it's a little loud in here, so I'm just going to scoot this in to make sure that I get decent voice quality and that you can hear the interview. Sam, so as we get started, can you introduce yourself to me and tell me more about what your major is?
Sam, my major is Russian, actually, so I'm in all your Russian classes. But I started at ASU 4 years now, I'm a junior, but 3 years into my major. So, I am from Mesa, Arizona. I have 8 siblings. I'm the youngest boy, but there's 8 kids. I'm number 7. There we go. Can't talk today. But, and 4 brothers, 4 girls. So it's very nice and even. I like it. And being the youngest of a lot of siblings, well, at the younger end, there's a lot of pressure, but it wasn't too hard growing up. But, my siblings were all very successful, so I wanted to follow in their steps. 4 of them are married, they have kids. I have 14 nieces and nephews now, which is crazy. I'm an uncle to a lot of kids, and I love them so much. I love hanging out with them. They're like my little siblings, because I was already like a younger person. Trying to think of what else to say.
With you saying that your major is in Russian,
yeah.
What exactly made you choose to go into Russian and major in that?
So actually, I lived in Russia for a little bit. My family is Mormon, and so I served a mission in Russia, actually. And I just fell in love with the language. It actually came a little easier to me than most people, so I figured I should probably use this. But it was a longer of a journey, actually. I first started in chemical engineering for my major.
Biochemical engineering?
Just chemical.
Oh, chemical?
Yeah, chemical engineering. And so I did that for a semester, and life got insane, and so I kind of took a moment back from school, and then when I came back to it, I decided eventually, out of a lot of options, to choose Russian.
Okay. And what led you to go on a mission to Russia specifically? Is that something you chose?
No, I don't get to choose where I go on a mission. I put in my papers, is what the term we use, and then we get a calling to go wherever they send us.
Okay.
And so the only say that I really had was if I was willing to learn another language, and I love languages already, so I said yeah.
And how long did you stay there for?
I was only there in Russia for 2 months. The normal mission is about 2 years, but I had to come home early. And so I studied Russian for 4 months because I studied 2 months before I went to Russia, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's very interesting. So what made you go into chemical engineering? Is that something that you've always been interested in high school and then later on you switched?
Yeah, so I loved chemistry in high school. I was a weirdo like that. In my AP chemistry class, I got a 5 on the exam, and so I was like, I'm good at this. Also, my mom told me about one of her friends that's a nuclear engineer, and he's one of 4 people in the world that can do his job. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I wish I could have such a secure job, that pays a lot of money. And so I initially went into chemical engineering to further, as a springboard to nuclear engineering, because that's not a major at any university that I'm aware of. So that's why I originally started. But I actually changed my mind about chemical engineering because I went to a career fair and I looked at all the jobs, and all of them were so excited about the fact that they got to work on their own projects alone, like in their own room, in their own cubicle or whatever. and I wasn't gonna have that. I'm a very people person.
Yeah.
I need social interaction, and I thought, and the engineering field would be that because like you have a lot of collaboration, because you got to work with mechanical engineers on certain projects, and then also your biochemical or your biomedical engineers. But no, they said that like after a few years, you kind of just work on your own because you get a sense for all the other fields.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, I need people, so I'm gonna not do chemical engineering. But at that point, when I decided that, I didn't know what to switch it to. But yeah, I knew that I had to make a major change.
Okay. And with you saying that, with your mom knowing somebody that was kind of had that job, producing nuclear energy and things like that, and with you saying that, oh my gosh, that offers so much stability because he's like one of the only people that can do that, and it's still really good money. Is that one of your goals that you look for in a job?
Yeah, I would really love a stable job, as most people would. And yeah, a lot of money would be nice, support a future family, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of just the goal, is a stable future.
And did you feel like that influenced you to go to college? Do you think you need in your opinion, do you need a college, like, is college education necessary to get a stable, high-paying job, or would you ever have like other options?
I think that college and like university is really important for that. I mean, unless you have a really solid and focused idea of what you want to do, because I didn't when I got out of high school. I had no clue what I wanted to do, and so like I thought that I had to go to college, first of all, because I have a lot of siblings. They all went to college, and they all graduated and stuff. But I think that a university level like education really prepares you for like the workforce, because so many jobs look for it. I mean, I think it's kind of dumb that everyone wants you to have the diploma, but it's how the world works.
Yeah.
And while you're in college, like, you have such a great experience meeting new people, getting introduced to new like cultures depending on where you are. Like, ASU is really diverse. So, like, I meet a lot of people. Like, one of my best friends, my first semester, he's native of India. And so he actually invited me over one day to have, like, Indian food over Christmas break, which was fun. But, yeah, I mean, in short, like, I think university is a really good springboard for your future, and in my opinion, very, like, necessary.
That's very cool. Yeah. And with you kind of saying that, like, people of different cultures, different backgrounds, and you having friends from India, is that something you feel like the university life has offered you?
Definitely. Like, I've had so many friends from different backgrounds, and also having lived like around the world, like, I know how to interact with people like in different cultures. But yeah, I feel like ASU is very inclusive. Like, I don't know the percentage, but like I have a lot of non-American friends that get to study here, and like I get to talk with them, and like, I'm just so interested in learning about them, and I'm glad that there's a lot of diversity here at ASU.
And with you saying that you've lived around the world, what other places have you been to other than Russia?
Well, I said around the world, but I guess I've only lived in Russia. Like, I visited like Canada and Mexico, but like that's North America. I can't say it's like very diverse, and we already live in Arizona, which is very much. There's a lot of Mexican culture here. But it's just like different when you've lived somewhere else, and you just realize how alone you are if you just stay in one place or something.
No, that makes sense. Okay, so we had to move to a different spot in Starbucks. We didn't realize how loud it was going to be in here, with like the music and the machines playing, and people around us talking. So on to my next question. So with your love for culture and diversity, how did that influence your decision to go to ASU?
To go to ASU? Let me think. I think it was more of a decision of whether to stay here because when I came back to ASU, that's a different story that I can explain later. But when I chose to be a Russian major, I realized like the opportunities that were here. Like they have the critical languages scholarship that I found my first year of Russian language study. I didn't get it, but applying for it really like gave me that kind of boost to really adventure the culture around here. And there's also like the critical language institutes where you can study a lot of languages, and I love languages a lot. Like I'm also studying Chinese along the way with my major.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so like with the critical languages institute they offer here, like you can study Persian over the summer for like a really intensive 8 weeks, or like Urdu or Hebrew. Arabic, like all those languages, and they're all on my. I have a list of languages that I want to learn because I love like the idea of a polyglot. Do you know what polyglots are?
I'm not sure.
So polyglots is basically someone that is more than bilingual.
Huh.
That's it. Or like basically, I knew someone on my mission. He was a leader there that he was fluent in 11 languages, and I'm like, dang. I want to be that way because I love talking with people. It's been a passion of mine, and so being able to communicate with so many people in different languages would be really cool.
Yeah.
Even though I know around the world everyone speaks English, but like I don't want to be the one. You have to speak English with me because I'm American.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's dumb. Anyway, so, but yeah. So like that was a big part. Is there's so many opportunities here for language learning. That and the teachers here are great. Like my Russian teachers have been great, like Professor Moldovyakova, and then like the Chinese instructors are really very, very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And so that's a big reason why I stayed here.
Yeah. That's very cool. And so with you mentioning you came back to the issue, was there at one point that
Yeah,
you had
so I actually came to ASU kind of on a whim. So, as I mentioned before, I came early from my mission, and that wasn't planned in my life. I had planned on going to BYU, actually, up in Utah, and I had been accepted and everything, but I had a couple of religious issues at the time, and so it's like, I can't go to BYU right now, and because it's a very Mormon populated school and like there's certain criteria you have to meet, and I couldn't meet those. And so when I came to ASU my freshman year, my first year when I was a chemical engineer, it was on a whim, like I said. And basically, meaning I could get in there, like I came back in summer too, so it wasn't really easy for me to go out and find like a completely different school. Because this one's like in state, it's 15 minutes away from where I live, so it's very convenient. And so I was here for one semester, and then when life got really crazy, my second semester, I dropped out to figure out life.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I had come out to my family at that time, and that was a really rough time because they're very conservative, very religious, and having a gay son was not really their ideal point, like ideal idea, like of my life that they had. And so I took a year to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and so I left ASU, and actually after that year was up, I moved up to Utah because I wanted to go to BYU and kind of figure out my life there, live on my own a bit. And so when I was planning on going to BYU, but after those 6 months of living there, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to go anytime soon to BYU because they have what's called a ecclesiastical endorsement, which basically you have to live the standards of the church and you have to be clean of like sin, basically. And I was like living like an actively gay lifestyle, and so I wasn't going to be able to go there.
Yeah.
and figure out my life and experiment really. And so I came back to ASU because it had been a year and a half since I'd come back to my education, and my brain was going crazy. I needed to learn more.
So you came back to a year and a half to ASU, right?
Yeah, so I was here for a semester in 2014. That was the fall semester was my first year. And then I came back in, would have been 2016?
Yeah.
What did I think? Yeah, so 2014 and then 2016, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I came back in 2016.
Did you have a more of a vision of what you wanted to do at that point?
It was more so I wanted to still figure out what I wanted to do, but I would still be able to go to school. Like ASU wouldn't keep me out of school because I was living like a gay lifestyle or dating men, and whereas BYU I felt anyway, so I came here because I knew that I could have an education and figure out my life and not put either one on hold.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
With your family struggling, kind of accepting that part of you, did they have any influence over your education at all? Like, did they prefer for you to go to BYU, or did they want you more close to home and ASU?
I think
did they have an influence?
They definitely really wanted me closer to home. I know that my dad went to BYU, but he never really held that over me. No one in my family really was like, you need to go to BYU, they will help you stay on the right path, and and like you'll be able, but like I think they wanted me to stay here, kind of like to keep tabs on me,
Yeah.
make sure that I was okay, which I appreciate. Like they're my family, I love them, and like I know that they love me. It's just hard sometimes when we want different things for my life. But I think more so they didn't want me around here, just because we are a big family. And I'm at the younger end of the spectrum, and my parents have never really had a time in their life when they've had like only one kid at home.
Yeah.
Like even now, like I have a 30-year-old sister living there, and like a 25-year-old sister, and so, like there's 4 people at home.
Yeah.
And so like they're not used to having less children at home.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be empty nesters. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Were they ever adamant about you going to school? Like, was that always a goal for all of their kids, including you, that they all have to be college educated? So did they have any influence of you going to school at all? Or?
I think it was like an underlying rule. It was never explicitly said. Like they've always had high expectations for us financially. For example, like they pushed us to get good grades because if we got straight A's through high school and like our like before college experience education, they would buy us a car, which is nice because I did that. I got straight A's in high school and I got a car eventually. What was I saying? So yeah, they really pushed like for education. My mom never had a full college education. I think she had 1 year, but she didn't continue it. She was a nutrition major, and my dad is a doctor, a chiropractic, and he's been practicing for 30 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they've always pushed me to like better myself through education, and so I feel like it was the natural step for me to have to go to college. Like I never in my life did I think I might not go to college, because it was very much kind of an unexplicit expectation for all of us.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but like I have a sister that isn't in school, and like I don't know if she's planning on going back to school to graduate.
Yeah.
But like, there's no really any pressure on her.
Yeah.
But like, she is the only one that hasn't really pursued graduation from college, and so like, she did have a few years of people being like, "What are you doing with your life?" And I was one of them, and I felt awful afterwards because I'm like, "You figure out you like." you're good. but yeah, I think there's definitely an underlying expectation for us that we're going to go to college from the parents.
Yeah. Is there any kind of other career pressure in that sense, or?
So, no matter how many times I tell my dad I don't want to do chiropractic, he'll always find some way. Like, when I was studying chemical engineering, he's like, well, you're going to be studying, like, chemistry and, like, biology, so you can use that as a springboard to go into medicine. If it wasn't, like, a chiropractic career path, it was always something medical. And I didn't have a problem with that. Like, I love medicine. I think it's so cool. The human body's fascinating. Like, my mom's a nutritionist and my dad's a chiropractor. Like, I should grow up to be in medicine, but here I am in diplomacy and such. And because originally I didn't want to, if I didn't go into nuclear engineering, like I had mentioned, I was thinking medicine and being a doctor. That was from my list of things I chose after I came back to ASU. It was on I decided Russian. And so the pressure is still on, kind of. My dad will find a way to just nudge it in there. And like, Dad, my brother's studying chiropractic right now. I'm like, Dad, Ammon's already doing it. It'll go on. It will live on. I promise. Because his dad was a chiropractor before it.
Yeah.
And so it's like a kind of a lineage thing.
A family line. Okay. And so when you were coming back to ASU from Utah, did you ever consider going to any other schools in the state? Like, did you ever consider Northern Arizona or U of A? Was it always...
It was ASU, mostly because I had a scholarship at ASU, which was basically a full ride with FAFSA and student aid like that. And so I had that financial stability here that I wouldn't have to take out as much debt. I mean, I could have applied for NAU or U of A, but since I'd already gone to school here at ASU is a much easier decision, and like I felt comfortable here. And I never really wanted to live in Tucson. The only reason that I would have considered Flagstaff is that I'm a very musical person, and if I wanted to pursue music, I would have gone to NAU probably and gotten a scholarship with that. However, music isn't really a financially as stable a job. Especially if I did music performance, I would have done vocal performance probably. And so I was like, I'm going to stay at ASU because there's also good music programs here. And so I was kind of, I could have there's more options like at ASU.
With you saying that there's music programs here, is that one of the reasons why you came to ASU to pursue those things as either hobbies or?
So it is a bit, actually I forgot, this is a really big reason I came back to ASU. My first year of university here at ASU, I auditioned for the all-male acapella group, Priority Male.
What's that called?
Priority Male.
Priority Male.
Like, it's a pun, like M-A-L-E instead of M-A-I-L.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. We're all men that sing. It kind of sounds like a male supremacy group, but we're not. And so I auditioned for that and got in my first year, and I love acapella group. I did it all through like my junior and senior year of high school. And when I actually dropped out of classes my second semester of my freshman year, they still let me be in the group, which was really big, and I thought I was going to have to quit because my life got really bad. But they still let me be in the group, which was great, and I was really appreciative of that. And so when I left to go to BYU, I was so sad that I wasn't going to be in that group anymore because they were like really good friends of mine. They were like brothers, and they were like brothers that were my age. The closest brother I have is 5 years older than me, and like we never really got along. And my other two brothers my oldest brother's 14 years older than me, and then the next one's 12 years older. So it was really nice to have like close contemporary guy friends. Yeah. And so like that was a big reason I came back, was I loved the music scene there, and so I knew that I could come back. I was actually thinking that I was going to have to audition again because I'd been gone a year, but they just took me back in, and so it was really nice.
And so you're still involved with them today?
Yeah, I'm actually music director this year, which is
awesome.
Yeah. And that had been like a dream of mine my first year there, because I had a really good music director in that group my first year, and I wanted to like take over for him. And so last year was my first year back, and then this is my second year back and third year in the group and a music director. And I'm having to arrange a lot more. And it really like stimulates my brain, because like with school I have all the like cognitive and like left side of my brain working a lot, and then like I get to be my artistic self and creative self with the acapella group, which is really helpful and necessary for like university and college, just because you don't want to get too focused and like lose like sight of like your loves, like your hobbies, and what gives you joy.
Absolutely. Do you think you're going to integrate music and creativity somehow into your career with?
I don't know if I'm going to do it with my career, but I definitely want to have it as a hobby. Like, there are many musical communities around, especially like in the Phoenix area. I know a lot. Because I also played French horn in high school. Like if I'm going to do orchestras, or if I'm going to, there's music groups at colleges that I can sign up for and participate in. There's just a lot of opportunities that I can like kind of on the side, because that was a big reason I didn't choose music, was I didn't want it to become my source of income. I didn't want that stress on my love for music.
Yeah.
And so where it can be a hobby, just like where I kind of lose myself after like a hard week of work or something, that's something that I want. It'd be a nice de-stressor.
Yeah. That's very cool. With you kind of coming back, your acapella group being part of the reason that you came back, and part of it being your family and everything, did you have any other influences, people-wise, that kind of brought you back to ASU? Was it any other friendships or relationships?
I have two really close friends that lived here at the time, and I had known them since junior high, and basically when I came out to them in the beginning of 2015, they were very supportive and like very, very supportive, and I miss them a lot.
Yeah.
And they go to one of them goes to ASU, one now is actually up in Utah now, but and married, so like she's busy.
Yeah.
But he was here, and he was in my acapella group, and he's one of my best friends, and so I knew that if I came back here, I'd have him, and so that was really nice and helpful. And then actually it's been really nice since after that I came back. My other best friend, who I moved to Utah with, he came back to ASU because he was dating a girl and she was going here and not BYU, and so it was easier, like long distance, a close relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's just kind of really worked out where all my friends that are really essential, like in my life, that have become my family, they all came to ASU. And so that's been a very nice support, like, foundation.
Was the transition coming back pretty easy with them? Like, when you came back, was everything kind of
it was
normal?
Like, we're kind of those friends where if we don't text you for 2 months because, like, we live long distance, don't worry about it. I still love you. It's just, like, we don't feel the need to be like, oh my gosh, how's your day today? Because, like, they know that we care, but, like, and if we need... Like, if we're, like, in a desperate scenario where we need to talk to someone for advice, like, we can always call.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was a very natural, smooth transition. They're like, you're back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
So, other than being involved with learning languages and your a cappella group, are you involved in any other clubs or organizations?
Let's see. The other thing that I could think of is I still go to the LDS Institute of Religion here, but the LDS Institute of Religion is like the Mormon kind of school here, and that's like, it's a really nice community. Just because I did go to school in Mesa, and that's a really highly Mormon populated area, like town, and I had a lot of friends, and so it's nice to like hang out there and like have that kind of like place to do homework, but I wouldn't call that like an organization really, like in the sense of a club.
Yeah.
It does get me like $5 parking, which is nice. I don't know. I'm just really involved as a music director. Like, I don't have much time for other groups and organizations.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not doing homework at school, which has been crazy this semester, I'm arranging for the group, or I am making rehearsal schedules. And it's just like, it's a lot of work, and I don't have much time to do really anything else, which is fine. Like, that's a really nice outlet, and like, I don't know, I just don't have other things going on. Probably because I'm just too busy. I can't take it easier.
Well, that makes sense. It sounds like your involvement in school is pretty hefty. With that being said, do you spend a lot of time on campus?
I do, but only when I have classes. I live in South Scottsdale with my fiance actually, and so it's 15-minute travel, you know. The commute is kind of sometimes a lot of traffic, so I like to stay on. So I have class at 9 in the morning on Monday and Wednesday, and I get done at 6.
Okay.
And so I'm here for a while on those days. And also, actually, on Mondays, I am here from 9 in the morning until 11 at night.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's when we have rehearsals for my acapella group, and they're 2.5 hours long. So I'm pretty busy Mondays, but if I don't have to be on the campus, like for meetings or anything, I don't really study on campus much. I like to go home and study. Well, I say I go study, but I don't. I'm a procrastinator, but what can you do? But yeah, if I don't have to be on campus, I kind of go. And it's not because I hate the campus. It's just because, like, why be away from home when you can be at home?
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with, so many hours that you already spent here. So that makes sense. So were your expectations of a college experience always kind of like staying busy and involved? Like, what were you looking for to get out of your college experience back when you were still, graduating high school and you knew you were going to college? What were you looking for?
I was actually a high schooler that didn't think too much about his future, unfortunately. At the time, or fortunately, I guess. But my expectation for college, I think, was that I would have a lot of work. I'd be busy all the time, and thinking that I was going to go to BYU, I already had the idea of being in an acapella group because they have a really solid acapella program there. But when I came here, my goals were find a good major, find a music outlet, and meet lots of new people and like friends and learn a lot. I love learning. I don't necessarily like the facilitation of learning, but I know that's how the education system works here. Like teachers in yoga class making you write 3-page papers on yoga. I'm like, I don't think that's necessary. It's college. Like, you're expected to have. I did have an expectation of like higher expectations than like high school.
Yeah.
And so I expected to work a lot more, and I haven't been disappointed, but with that expectation. But I know, like, for example, I kind of expected more work. Like at BYU, it's more of a private institution, and the education, like when I lived up there, my friends had like 10 hours of homework a night. Like, he was really stressed all the time.
Yeah.
And it might just be my major, like, since I'm already fluent in Russian, it's kind of easier, like, when I started. And whereas they're learning like maybe science or engineering, and my workload would have been different.
Yeah.
But basically, my expectations were I would have solid teachers teaching me concepts that like at a really good level, and for the most part, like that's happened.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah. Did you ever expect to get involved in, like, was Greek life ever an
Greek
option for you?
life was, it's actually a really funny story. So, my first week of college at ASU, we're over by the MU, and I see this table, just like girls wearing all matching shirts, and I saw that and I was like, I didn't think that they were real. Like sororities and fraternities, I thought they were just in movies. I thought they were just at certain colleges. I didn't know what I was thinking. I was like, they all match. They're all blonde. I get it. Anyways, and I didn't think I was gonna ever join a fraternity just because I knew I didn't. I had this mental concept of a fraternity, like the frat bro, and I was like, I'm just not that. Like, it's not me. And then also coming back, I came back from my mission early because I had like told someone, like confessed to someone that's like, well, I'm gay, and it's really hard to be out here. And so I was like, I wouldn't want to deal with the pressure of trying to figure out myself and have to worry about Greek life and living like potentially with other guys. And so I was like, I'm gonna stay away. But I had like a negative kind of look on Greek life at first, my first semester. But going through like my college experience, like it's been improved.
Yeah.
Especially since I found out that there's different types of fraternities and sororities. Like there's more social sororities and there's more service-centered sororities, or fraternities and sororities. Like my fiance was a part of Kappa Kappa Psi, which was like a really service-oriented like music fraternity.
Yeah.
And like, so I was like, oh, so not all fraternities are just getting drunk and having trashing others.
Yeah.
But and so I was like, I took a step back and I realized I'm like, oh, stereotypes are sometimes wrong, which is a good thing to realize.
And did you meet your fiance on campus as well?
He actually graduated 2017 from a music education major. He's actually a band teacher in Scottsdale at Cocopah Middle School, and it's his second year doing it. So I actually met him after he had graduated, about 6 months, and so yeah, we didn't meet on campus. We met online.
Okay, very cool. And so you guys kind of have like your ASU little home.
Yeah. So like we all have like, we went to ASU. I'm always at the music building for acapella, and he lived there for his undergrad. And we just know a lot of like similar people because we both come from a music background. And he actually played a mellophone in the marching band, which is what I played in marching band.
Yeah.
And so that was funny. Like we bond over like geeks.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. And were you ever into sports or anything? Were you ever looking to involve, yourself in sports at ASU?
No.
No sports.
But when I was in high school, I didn't ever really want to do sports. The only sport that I was kind of okay with was swimming, but I didn't actually ever do it. I was so involved, like heavily involved in music in high school. My junior year, I had 5 music classes and 2 academic classes. Like, I had 8-hour band, I had second hour, like, advanced ensemble, then I had another one, but, no, it was just 4 classes, and then I had advanced, like, chamber choir, and then advanced jazz choir. Like, I was really busy with concerts and everything, and I just never really had the desire to do sports like all my brothers did, and I had a lot of sisters do sports, but like my parents never really pressured me into doing that because all my family is musical, and since I did music, they're like, you're fine. You won't worry about me. But looking back, I was also a chubbier kid, and so me going into sports, I was already bullied, like, as it was. I'm like, I don't want to go into sports and have that get worse.
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe sports could have trimmed me down. But that's in the past.
Well, thanks for sharing that. So, a little bit of a change of topic. I remember you mentioning that you went to a career fair at ASU that kind of helped you shape your mindset on what you kind of want to do. Can you tell me more about the career fair and other resources ASU has provided you with?
Yeah. So the career fair that I went to was very like general specific for engineering, and that was nice because it was all the booths that were there were going to be for engineering, and so that was nice to kind of get like a view of what was in my future if I continued on that path. I haven't been able to find like a very specific like this is for international management kind of career fairs because that's what I want to go into like after university. And but like I have gone to quite a few career fairs, and when I've been there, I just haven't really found the right thing for me. But it has helped me kind of like narrow down what I want to do in the future, like what kind of companies I want to work with, what kind of people I want to work for.
Yeah.
And so they've been really helpful, just kind of like narrow down what I want to work in. Like I had looked into like the CIA came over here and for a career fair, and I was really interested in that, and so I got a lot of information on like their application process, certain scholarships they have, because they want you like there's actually like a CIA school, but it costs a lot of money, and as most colleges do. But so yeah, there's been like ASU's brought in like a really broad number and like a broad kind of view of careers into those career fairs, which I feel is really useful. And I just feel like I wanted to be more prepared for career fairs, and they always kind of spring up on me. And I don't know if there's like a newsletter I have to subscribe to, but yeah, they've been really helpful. And like with that, I've also had advisors that like have been really helpful. Even with my chemical engineering advisor, she was very, very much like a guide in like what classes to take and what will get me to where I want to be and what classes will be too easy for me. And then moving over to the SILT classes, the language classes, like the advisors have been really helpful working with me because I already came with an understanding of Russian, and so they are like, well, take this test, we'll give you credits for like lower level classes that you don't have to be in.
Yeah.
And like my first time back here, I took Russian 101, and then I was also in like a Russian 200 level class, and my 200 level teacher, Moldaviakova, were in one of her classes. She was like, hey, you shouldn't be in 101.
Yeah.
And so I switched out of 101 and went to actually a 400 level class, the Russian for Heritage Speakers class.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I've had a lot of like help from the staff, whether that's advisors or even just professors in general. Like, I love how in the language classes I've gotten to be able to have like a closer relationship with my teachers, like especially the Russian professors, because like in like letters of recommendation are really helpful for either language scholarships, which there are so many that like ASU students can apply for, which is nice. I know they're not necessarily ASU sanctioned, but the teachers and the advisors really emphasize for the students to study abroad and have this experience, like learning the language in a different country. Because I feel very strongly about learning a language in a different country, just because that's how I learned it, how it like got ingrained in me. Because I had to survive somehow, and that was by being thrown into a language. Kind of, if I didn't speak, I would die. But So I guess I'm an extremist in that sense. But
So did you ever get the chance to study abroad?
I didn't ever. And I think a big part of that is when I came to ASU, when I came back to ASU after taking a year and a half off, I was still trying to figure my life out, and where I would want to spend time learning a language was Russia, and they're not too fond of homosexuals, and so which I know like I might be like a unvalidated fear, but and also when I had applied to these, it was before I met my fiance, and so like now it's kind of difficult to balance like thinking about a future family with like spending 6 months away, like in a different country, because my fiance has his own established career, and I wouldn't want to like uproot him just so that we can move to a different country and like away from our families. And because originally I had actually thought of going into Department of State kind of vocations and careers, but that I would be stationed somewhere for 2 years and then like fulfill like my duties there, but then I could get called to a different country and have to learn a new language, and like that was really fun that I could think of. But like when I put like my future family in that sense, it kind of became less feasible.
Yeah.
Because that would have to move my family, not just myself. Which is totally fine. Like, my family's very important to me. Like, I put that above a career. Like, even now, before I'm done with college, before I even have a career. But, so that's definitely influenced why I haven't studied abroad, but it has made me want to study harder, like, in college so that I can have a greater understanding of languages without having to live in there. So, like I find more opportunities to speak Russian and Chinese. My sister actually speaks fluent Chinese, which is very helpful. She served her mission in Hong Kong, and so and she actually studied Chinese at ASU. So that's one I think that the programs for here for language learning are really good because I heard it from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like working hard in college to like support a future family, because since Anthony is, well, my fiance Anthony, since his career is teaching and education, it's not the highest of paying jobs, unfortunately. My fiance always jokes that when I get any career that isn't teaching, I'm gonna make more than him, so he always jokes about that. But I was like, I don't know, like, the future is unclear.
Yeah.
I just tell him that we should move somewhere where they pay us more, but it's okay.
Don't they all wish that?
I know, really though. When Arizona's 51st in the state for education and paying for teachers, like 51st out of 50 states, it's sad.
Oh my god, I had no idea.
Really? Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know until I dated a teacher. So.
Oh wow, that's funny.
But
does that change your kind of outlook on anything at all, or
like outlook on
your career preference?
Yeah, so I really I want to go into international management because that is something that I can work from the States and only have to take business trips as opposed to living in a different country. And so that's something that I thought was really feasible, because it'd be something that I didn't have to give up my love for like international studies or like studying new cultures. And I know that he wants to travel a lot before like we have kids and stuff. And so that would be something where like he could come on business trips with me, and that'd just be, I think, a really cool like element of our future family's life. Just being able to kind of travel when we needed to or when we wanted to, but still have a really solid foundation for home here. Yeah. Like whether that be in Arizona or some different state.
Do you feel like ASU has provided you with the tools and resources to get into career management?
I definitely think so, yeah. So the school I want to go to is actually Thunderbird University, which is #1 in the world for
that for a
international
graduate?
management. Yeah, it's a graduate studies.
To get your master's?
Yeah, it's for like a master's. And a lot of my teachers, actually, one of our teachers, Monavieka, she worked for Thunderbird and taught there.
Oh,
And so, yeah. And so I talked with her about it. And that's the great thing about like our professors here at ASU. Like they're very well rounded. Like they know about opportunities in all the different kinds of universities, like in their area. Like,
yeah.
Like so that's how I heard about international management in the first place, was through her. And so like in that sense, like she works for ASU, so like it's been very much helpful to like find out about opportunities.
Yeah.
With the staff that's really well informed.
Does ASU not offer the same graduate program for international management?
I actually haven't looked into it, and I probably should because it's going to be less expensive. But I do need to do more research just on my own, like to kind of see like other opportunities out there. Or I guess I could talk to an advisor, but it's the end of the semester and they're freaking busy.
Yes.
And I still have 3 semesters left to look into that.
So, with you, so you're pretty positive on the fact that you definitely want to get your master's?
Yeah, definitely.
So, with that being said, kind of like judging from your kind of what you've been saying so far about your experience at ASU, is there any reasons why you wouldn't want to go to ASU again for the graduate program?
I think a big part of it, like, in my head, I see, like, Thunderbird, it's #1 in the world. So basically, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go there so that I can be successful. But I understand that's not sound logic. You can go to any university and get an education and be successful. But I would have to look into ASU. Like, I don't have anything against ASU. It's just I haven't looked into any information about, like, if they have an international management program. I do know that they have, like, a master's business college, which is really, really good. It's really well renowned.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they have, like, that certain program. I just, like, have slacked on looking into that.
Yeah.
But I would say if they have a good program and I hear enough good things about it, I would definitely consider going to ASU for that, since I have a foundation here and it'd be more likely for me to get financial aid since I went to school here.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, with you being such a fan of Thunderbird as well, what kind of plays a role into you choosing which school you're going to go to get your master's degree? Is it more of, kind of already being comfortable with the issue, or just wanting a new experience? Is there, money influence?
I mean, money is a really big factor in, like, any decision people make for school. So I think that if Thunderbird accepts me, and so does ASU, I think a big part will come down to who offers me more money and, like, a more feasible way to pay off loans or anything like that. However, if it is really close, I would choose Thunderbird because I do know more about the program than ASU's program for it, and also just knowing that it's a very renowned thing around the world. Like, I'd have a really solid network, which is really important in business. Like, if you don't know people, you're not going to get very far, unfortunately. And but yeah, I would say definitely financial aid is a very important, like, decision for me, because, like, very good influence for a decision, I guess, to say. Just because I do have a future family in mind, and I don't want to be millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess not millions, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I would definitely, like, my friend that I moved down here, like, the friend I talked about before, he's studying law at ASU and getting a full tuition scholarship. So I'm like, that sounds great. So, just, the goal is to have the least amount of debt for the most influence, like, for a future career, like, the more stable, like, springboard for me to get a good
With you mentioning networking and kind of hearing awesome things about Thunderbird, but also mentioning that you just don't know as much about ASU because you haven't done your research yet, does kind of what people say about a school influence your decision on whether you should go there or not?
Definitely, because when someone is talking about a school, especially when you don't know anything about, I kind of like take it like with a grain of salt, obviously, but like I take it as like they're telling me about it. So like, and until I can prove it wrong, that if I look into it and say like I don't think that's right, I kind of like take it as fact.
Yeah.
Just because usually the sources that are telling me this information are very trustworthy.
Yeah.
Like they're a teacher that I know, or like a friend that has been involved in the scene, and so definitely what people say like influences my like opinion on it. And so yeah.
Did you ever have that influence when you were in high school and initially going to ASU? Is that another influence that kind of impacted your decision?
Well, it's kind of funny because my high school experience was very much leading me to go to BYU because it is a very like highly Mormon populated school. So everyone is going to go to BYU, and there's just a stigma against ASU actually because it was like the party school and like drugs, alcohol, and that was not really kosher in our world, our little bubble.
Yeah.
And so I was actually more so pushed to go to BYU, but I ended up coming here, which is ironic. But good for me. I would definitely say it was much more helpful for me to come here than to go to BYU.
What do you think is like the biggest, most important factor that really led you to ASU, even though you were kind of led in different directions?
I think it was definitely the freedom that I would have here to really find out who I am. Because in my head, it was between BYU and ASU. There was no other college really, because everywhere else was too expensive. And so the biggest influence was I would have freedom to figure out who I was, because I knew that there's a lot of culture here, there's diversity, I wouldn't be judged for anything, and I had a really good safety net of friends here that I could count on. And yeah, that was probably the biggest influence, was just like the comfortability. Is that a word? Comfort, I don't know.
Comfort, something like that.
Yeah, you know. But yeah.
So compared to your expectations leading you into college, I mean, you still have a couple of semesters left, 3 semesters as you said. What do you still expect out of at ASU while you're still in school? Is there any expectations or anything you want to get out of it before graduation?
I really want to have a solid idea of what I'm doing after college, because I don't want to have I graduate and then a year goes by and I don't continue my education. I mean, if that does end up happening, I wouldn't be too upset, but I would like to leave my college experience having an idea of where my master's is going to go, and just kind of, I never really planned my future out a lot. Like, they talk about where you see yourself in 5 years, where you see yourself in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I do that, but it's not really well thought out.
Yeah.
It's very vague, and I'd like to have, it's kind of a personal goal to be more well planned out.
Yeah.
Financially and career wise. And so I'm gonna, for my own expectations for myself, I'm gonna look more into advisors and stuff. And my expectations for the college, I would say I would think that seniors would get kind of more advice or more newsletters about opportunities, because the school would see, oh, they're graduating this year, and we want them to be successful. And from what I've heard from most colleges and other schools at ASU, they are pretty good about that. And so that would kind of be what my goal or expectation, what I want out of my last few semesters here, is just kind of, I guess it's a give and pull, like
Yeah.
a push and pull. Anyway, because I have to reach out, but like if they don't reach back out to me, that'll be really hard for me to plan my future. So it's gonna take effort on my part too to kind of reach that expectation.
And how do you feel like your experience overall, while you've been at ASU, met your expectations or didn't meet your expectations from like the initial point on?
Yeah. I think ASU has a really good concept of making the students work and like have enough of an experience pushing themselves to like go above and beyond. And that was an expectation I had, was just like pushing yourself above like filling out worksheets and stuff. But yeah, I'd say that a lot of my expectations were met. Like, I would also say that they were kind of like over-met. What's the word? Like, what is that word? I don't know. But like, they exceeded my expectations in some ways. Like, I had heard kind of like negative things about the college here. Like, the education levels aren't that high, but like when I came here, it's like they're expecting like a really reasonable amount of like educational proficiency, and like I feel that I've learned a lot and that I've been taught well by really good staff. Like all the staff here are required to do research on their own, and that I feel is really cool. Like the validity of what they teach me, like they're really well informed. That was my biggest like desire. Was like I want teachers that know their stuff. And all the teachers I've had, for the most part, like there have been a few here and there that have been like iffy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they know their stuff, and like that really makes me feel comfortable as a student. And like, also like the expectation. It's been really weird to have like a personal connection with the teacher. Like I'm gonna be honest, that's like weird. Not like a personal like we go hang out, have drinks on the weekend, but like I can talk to them about my projects in the class or my grades in the class. Like I never really did that in high school just because I never really care that much. But when there's so much pressure on like my future career and everything, like they've all been really helpful, and like that's like exceeded my expectation. I thought like college professors were going to be like more cold. I don't know why I had that vision in my head, but they've been really nice and helpful. And so like they've kind of, I said it a lot, but they've exceeded my expectations for like the staff, the teachers.
It's kind of different for you to say how like people are more personal and professors are more personal, and it's like weird to you in a sense, because you would think, like assume a totally opposite experience because the university is so large. So it's crazy, you know, there's some lecture classes that are 100 plus students. So how did you feel about going that, you know, to school like that eventually, like initially, knowing that it's one of the biggest universities in the nation? Did you want to always go to like a big university, or more like?
I didn't really have an opinion on like the size of university.
Yeah.
It was always like the level of education and like how supportive the teachers were.
Yeah.
And so I was a little cautious whenever like I'd see classes on the register that were like 300 people. And like, how are you teaching 300 people? Some teachers don't teach 300 people, but that's another topic. But it is. I found that the teachers that have big classrooms are still helpful, and like they do want to reach out to their students. Like it's not necessarily the most conventional way or like the most effective way to help all the students, but if it kind of forces the students to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
Like if they really want to do well, like they have to reach out to the teacher and be like, hey, I don't understand the chapter we went over last week in psychology. Like they're able to, like, and the teachers will reach out back to them.
Yeah.
Like they are really personable teachers, but you do have to reach out to them, which I feel is good because it teaches us how to, you know, communicate with people, and so many people don't understand how important that is in the future. And like reaching out like without being prompted to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you were able to learn these things throughout your experience, and from what it sounds like, you've had an awesome experience so far with it exceeding your expectations. So I think this concludes our interview, and I just want to wish you luck
Thank you.
on kind of figuring out what you want to do and considering, where you want to go for your master's and learning more things that ESU has to offer versus Thunderbird, and hopefully you'll be able to figure that out. And I just want to thank you for your time
Well,
and
of course, thank you.
meeting me, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.